who was ready literally to do anything to protect her people and her community. But they also then saw other charges that were brought to your door. You were accused of organizing salmonella bacteria in the salads of a town where more than 700 people were hospitalized. You were accused of being involved in an assassination attempt on a US attorney of a state for Oregon. You were accused of wiretapping Bhagwan Rajneesh himself. I read a headline once by a journalist that said, "She poisoned a town, but I still love her." They were talking about you. Who is the real Sheila? Is Sheila the person who poisoned the town? Is Sheila the person who attempted murder? You pleaded guilty to some of these charges, and Bhagwan Rajneesh accused you of most of these things that I've listed.
He can accuse me of many more, and shoulders are big enough to take it. These are only accusations. Accusation does not make you a criminal. Let me tell you about charges and my plea agreement. I was charged for immigration fraud because I brought Bhagwan from India to America, though on a legal visa I had brought him. But I plead guilty to it because if you don't pay guilty to something, they will not accept the plea agreement. This is a legal situation. I plead guilty to Bhagwan's room being bugged.
Did you do that?
Of course.
You did do it.
With Bhagwan's consent.
Why?
For his protection.
Explain that.
There were a lot of people trying to enter the area of Bhagwan's house. Bhagwan was vulnerable. He had a couple of caretakers living in his house. And if something happens, then I must be aware of it instantly to offer him the help. And Bhagwan talks about it just today. One of old friend and a sannyasin came to visit me. He even told me exactly, did you know what Bhagwan talked about it after you have left? And he showed me a paragraph where Bhagwan says, Sheila could not do me any harm. She would die for me. So this love, this trust exists between us. He had given me permission. I accepted permission, organized, because I lived from Bhagwan's house about 2 kilometers away. I have to be aware if something happens to Bhagwan or somebody attacks that I can immediately send security there. We had security in the gate, but we were living in the mountains, and you cannot border or create a wall around the area because it was a vast range of 63,000 acres. Imagine, it was as big a land as Manhattan, New York City. And people could enter from any part of it. So come back to it. So I pleaded guilty to it. Okay, I bugged his room. No big deal. Now come to salmonella. The salmonella was in 1984. This incident happened. they had people from Center for Disease Control, Federal Bureau, American Bureau, who had come and controlled the region. They found 5 restaurants with salmonella, with bad hygiene. They did a report to the government of how salmonella spread. That report, after Bhagwan's accusations, was made confidential. And they created a new report on Bhagwan's statement and few sannyasins who cooperated with Bhagwan for their own necks. For me, I'm tired of speaking about it. Still, I pleaded non-guilty plea. What does non-guilty plea mean? Non-guilty plea is that you are not guilty, but you are ready to sign a plea because circumstances are such that I have no way of fighting it. I would have never gotten in America a fair trial. It was a Republican government. I was given budget of $2 million to fight. Where would I get that money? And that too without guarantee that I would win. So when people talk about it, they do not understand full situation. They do not understand the details, but they are ready to judge, they are ready to talk about it. And I would tell every one of you here, one thing I have learned in life, do not judge, remain open. It will change your life in such a way that you will start enjoying life.
Let me ask you this differently, because the fact that even today you are not angry with Bhagwan Rajneesh for accusing you of all of these things, for this resulting in prison time for you, that you still say that you love him. Is there anything you would not have done for him? Is there a line that you would have drawn and said to him, so far and no further? Because when I listen to you now, you accept the charge of bugging his, you say that that was with his consent and for his protection. And other than that, you say you framed and you had no option but to accept those accusations. Is there anything Bhagwan Rajneesh could have asked you to do that you wouldn't have done? Would you have killed somebody for him?
No. This is, when we talk like that, I feel it is disrespect towards Bhagwan. You can call me whatever you want to call me. I'm not bothered. But when what this question implies is that Bhagwan would have said that.
That he accused you of attempted murder.
Yeah, let him. It made him feel good for a moment.
You went to jail.
Yeah, and do I have any dents on my body? No.
Is there
Definitely not.
Is there something not unfair about the fact that the women were penalized and the man at the heart of this, nothing happened to him?
Well, he did go to jail for 15 days. He could not, he didn't, if he would have been longer there, probably he would have died. And I was much stronger, he had made me strong. I could live with it.
Talk about your time in jail. Talk about that and how
Please.
it influenced you. You were saying to me earlier that you started actually really missing your parents, and in the inmates in jail, you started seeing your parents in those older people inside prison. How did you cope with that time? Because you actually let off much earlier for good behavior, as the American system calls it.
It was not a good behavior in that sense.
I mean, the wild Sheila now cannot transform into this good girl. That's not what I meant.
That image will never be erased, and I accept it. It was a masterpiece I had painted in prison. There is a little law that says when you save US government or the prison government money, then you can get some time free from your sentencing. And I had single-handedly painted the whole unit of the women where we were with very little material and no ladder, but I managed to paint it. I cut all the windows and doors freehand. That was my masterpiece. And it gave me 15 days or 1 month good, 30 days, good days, put me into Christmas kick out. And I went out. I think it was the plan of existence that made me do it. And I went and I did it, I call it my masterpiece.
When you look back at those years, is there, you said earlier in this conversation, if I had to do it all over again, I would. But all of us learn from some of our choices. As you said, we're all fallible. None of us are perfect. Do you think that just like Antelope and the people of Antelope and this redneck village were hostile and xenophobic, do you think there were mistakes that you all made? Let me give you an example. How you, for example, cleaned up homeless people. So a recent decision takes place because this area says, let's just cancel the vote because they don't want all of you to be participating in the vote. Clearly an example of racism. You want to counter it. Now you counter it by actually bussing in homeless people who've been cleaned up. And later, I read, and in the documentary also it's there, that you're accused of actually drugging or sedating these homeless people, these poor homeless people. Is that something that happened? And if it happened, do you regret it?
This is fiction that homeless people were drugged. I hope over the years these memories of fiction will fade away. When we moved homeless for voting purposes, we offered them a home, whoever wants to have lived with us. This even today, it is customary in America for presidential elections or any other elections, homeless are used this way. And if you think of it, Trump just doesn't use homeless, he uses Russia and Ukraine. So why I am being questioned and not the other politicians? We were trying to take our self-government in our hand so we can continue to live peacefully there.
So you did what politicians do?
Naturally?
You didn't think of ever getting into politics?
No.
Why not?
What do I need politics for? I had everything in Rajneeshpuram.
When you lost Rajneeshpuram, and you lost Rajneesh in terms of not having him standing by you in support. You go to prison, you come out. Did you ever reconnect with your old life? Did you meet those people again? Did you contact Rajneesh again?
No. I never looked back. Something I had learned from my parents. Move forward, burn the bridges behind. And I did it. But if sometimes somebody came through curiosity to my house or wrote me a letter or wrote me an email, I replied to them. And I do that even now. I see a friend, he's somewhere here. We used to be in Pune together.
In the ashram there?
Early times of Pune, and we used to know each other in Bombay when Bhagwan was in Bombay, Woodland apartment. Met today. And when we hugged each other, all the years
Just
vanished.
melted away. But as the self-described mother of that community, did you, it's clear and you've said repeatedly you don't carry any anger or bitterness with Bhagwan Rajneesh. Did you feel like nobody stood with me, here I am alone, making a new life for myself? Was there some sense of loneliness? Was there some sense of bitterness?
No, I never felt lonely because I was my best friend. And being your own best friend, you will be able to move forward much easier. It was a certain independence, certain freedom I felt. And it was wonderful. For the first time, I was without responsibility, only responsible for myself.
What has been the toughest moment of your life?
Toughest moment of my life was knowing from within, without any words spoken around me, feeling that while I was in prison, what my parents must have suffered. It was, I felt that they suffered more than I suffered. It is the nature of parents.
Yeah. How do you reconcile, and I want to ask you first, did you see Wild Wild Country? Did you see the full series?
No.
Why not?
I have lived it. I know it is boring for me.
Okay, but how do you reconcile people's impressions of you and sometimes expectations of you with who you know yourself to be? And I ask this again because I know so many women, in particular women, who watched this Netflix documentary and who said, oh my God, what a radical woman, a strong individual, spunky, the word badass was used for you again and again.
Right.
And then you want to forgive Rajneesh everything that he did. And that's disappointing to some women, but you know who you are. So how do you reconcile who Sheila is with what people want her to be or expect of her?
I want to explain to you, most of us live for approval. We want approval of parents, friends, bosses, colleagues, whoever we come across. I didn't need approval. I fully understand that you all have opinion of Sheila from your own experience and your own vision or how you feel about me. And it is how it is. if you go to Bhagwan's discourse, you come out, 5,000 people are sitting, each one listens to him differently. So why should I restrict opinion of yours because I see myself as I am? I have nothing to do with your opinion. And I am generous enough to accept your opinion. Feel free to call me whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me spiritual. Criminal is better than spiritual for me.
Okay, now I'm going to open this up for questions, but I have one last question to ask you. This trip to India, coming back to, in a sense, one of your home countries, after more than 3 decades, how do you make sense of the response to you? As I said in the beginning, I have rarely seen such curiosity, such hunger to hear someone. I know that designers are tripping over themselves to dress you up. You've been, the elite of India are wanting to wine and dine you, and everybody's wanting to hear you. And we're meant to be a pretty prudish society. So is this like the prudes living vicariously through you? What's going on here?
What's going on? You know, it reminds me of a beautiful story Bhagwan used to tell us about Buddha. And Buddha is traveling through a village. People shower him with wonderful gifts. Buddha and his disciples accept it. They move on to the next village. Buddha was spat on his face. And Buddha, without thinking about it, just wiped it off with his shawl or a cloth that he was wearing. In the evening, when he was sitting among his disciples, his chief disciple Anand asked him, "We don't understand you. Did you not get angry when they spat on you?" And Bhagwan said, Buddha said, "They offer me what they have. And I feel right now I am receiving this wonderful love and pleasantries of people that I had not had it for last 30 years. So I'm enjoying it, and for me it is not a problem, it's not a conflict. There are no ideology conflicts in me. When I go back to Switzerland, I will get back to my old lifestyle. And if I come again, if people want to spit on me, they can do it, no problem.
I like that you don't care one way or the other. That's an attitude to really emulate. And in Switzerland, you are running 2 residential facilities, as it were, for people who are battling mental illness, grave mental illness. Could you speak a little bit about that?
I work with people who are heavy schizophrenic, suffer with heavy aggression, depression. I work with borderline. I work with multiple personalities, with schizophrenia, with multiple voices in their head and go crazy, etc. I also work with Alzheimer, Parkinson, and young and old dementia. We work with terminal illnesses till the end of the person. It is very, very special work that I do, and I help them to live again, enjoy again, dance again, laugh again in life. I have a very simple concept. I hope I can bring this concept to India also. This concept is called being there. I'm there for you and you are there for me. I fulfill your deficit, you fulfill my deficit. And on this simple basis, I have created these homes. These homes have been dedicated to my parents, Matru Sadan in honor of mother, Bapu Sadan in honor of father. Because I was missing them very much. I had felt their pain of me being in prison. And I wanted to do something to ease their pain, release their pain. So I started seeing in old people my parents. And it worked out beautifully. I got the life's best gift. My parents, I was able to bring them after establishing the homes to Switzerland permanently. And they lived short time with me, but that short time was a very valuable, big time for us three. My parents lived with me last 2 years.
Would you ever have thought 35 years ago that Sheila would be living this Sheila's life?
No, I didn't know because I move in life spontaneously. And spontaneously, I left Bhagwan spontaneously. Bhagwan accused me spontaneously. I go in prison, come out, and I have to get back on my feet. And I wanted to get back on my feet very quickly to ease that pain in my parents and my brothers, sisters.
One sentence you describe yourself in.
In love.
Thank you so much. Let's have a big round of applause and open this up now for all of you. I think it's been a really fascinating conversation. As an interviewer, I have to say that people balk at questions, they hesitate, they're fearful, they sometimes ask for questions in advance. None of that happened here, and you saw that I asked pretty much whatever I wanted to. It didn't always make Sheila happy, but she took the question on her chin, and I think a special round of applause for that. I just want to take a few questions. It's kind of dark, so you're going to have to. Can we turn the light around a bit on the audience? Can we turn one of the lights around? Yes, thank you. If you have something to say, please, you're going to have to come forward because I literally can't. Okay, I think I'm going to have to stand.
There is a lady there. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Do we have mics? Ma'am, can you come aage? It'll be easier because I literally can't see very much into the audience. Yeah.
Hello, good evening everyone. Well, first of all, I would like to say all my respect to both these audacious women. You're really wonderful for whatever you've been doing. So this question has been hovering over my head when I came to know that you were in Gurgaon. I couldn't go there, so I'm here to ask you this. What is life with and without the Guru? So I deleted the word spiritual.
Okay. For me, wherever you can learn, make them your guru. For me, I fell in love first, and then I learned. So Bhagwan became my guru then. But it doesn't matter. Whoever you choose, as long as you are learning, that's what's important. And for me, life with Bhagwan was beautiful, and now life being alone also is as beautiful, though Bhagwan is not far away from my being, because his teachings are with me.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else? You're going to have to.
Excuse
Hi
me, ma'am.
ma'am, my name is Furti.
Okay, I can't even see. Oh, there. Okay, that I think makes sense. Can you all come little agi
Okay.
so we can see you? Come near the stage. Come near the stage because we can't actually. Very good. Thank you.
Hi ma'am, my name is Furti. I'm from Pune and I would like to ask you this that if Bhagwan would have been today here, you would have met him or something?
Well, if he was there today, I would have definitely gone and visit him. I did go to the crematorium and paid my respect because I was not there when he died.
Okay,
Thank you.
next question. Yeah.
There's a famous poem that goes, two roads diverged in a wood. Had you not traveled this road, which road would you have had traveled? And through a time machine, if you're transferred in the past, which part of your life would you like to erase and which one would you like to relive?
I answer your last part first. I would not erase anything. Because every moment I have lived, I have learned something. And the roads, when you come on a crossroad, if you make correct choice, then that's the right road.
Do you repent making the choice?
No, I listen to my intuition when I stand at a crossroad.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Your story and Barkha has been very candid about it. Is if I can use the adjectives is of greed, deceit. There is so much of thing you created. I'm intrigued to ask you, what were you setting out to achieve? Because you had sex, drugs, everything which is not supposed to be there. What were you people trying to set up there?
We were trying to set a home for ourselves. Simply a place where we could live our life with our understanding of life and what we were learning from Bhagwan.
So your understanding, I would mean that it was living with drugs, sex, greed of having Rolls Royce and diamond watches.
You can say all of that.
Hello, ma'am. I have a question for you, and I had to actually gather a lot of courage to ask you this question.
Please do.
So my question is that was Bhagwan weak? And my second part of my question